an addiction, to be particular. You're so stuck in it that you can't get out on your own power, so you need help from other people. So you go to this program, and usually what they do is they isolate you from any access towards that thing. I went last year, and it was life-changing for me, so I decided to go again this year. It's funny that Ryan called me up, and actually it's not funny, it's God ordained. How many of you would say you hope in your parents? You have hope in your parents. Or you're dependent on your parents. How many of you live in your parents' household? Would you say that you depend on them? They're like your hope. That's what you have hope in. There are people that I met that their hope wasn't in their parents, wasn't in their friends, but was in a needle that they stuck in their arm. There are people that I met that their hope or their dependence was on a screen of naked people doing things that shouldn't be done in front of others. There are people whose hope was in something that was not sustaining. Something that didn't last. You see, because they always have to travel back and forth between something, looking for something fulfilling. And I guess I'll tie it into my life. You see, growing up, I had great leaders like Ryan. Ryan was my leader. And they always told me, you don't do this stuff. There's going to be stuff in the world that you will try to fill a gap in your heart. But it won't work. It may work for a time, but it won't work for life. There's only one thing we found that works. God. This whole program is centered around God. And I'm not talking about the Islam God. I'm not talking about whatever God you see on the internet or whatever thing you call a God. I'm talking about Jesus Christ. That's what your foundation is. And sometimes people will ask you, they'll say, okay, you've been set free. And so think about that line, no turning back. I want you to insert what you're not going to turn back to. Because there are going to be people in your life who say, why aren't you turning back to that? Oh, you don't get to drink anymore? Oh, you don't get to come out with us and have fun? Oh, you don't get to get plastered and wasted? You don't get to do that? When in reality, it's not you don't get to. You don't have to do those things anymore. Because you found something fulfilling. And let me tell you something. People have said that to me all my life, and my response always is the day that God has yet to be unfulfilling to me, that's when I'll walk away. But to this day, He has sustained me. He has filled me. He has walked with me. No matter how many times I hurt Him, no matter how many times I run away from Him, day after day, He's with me. There are people in that program who suffered for 60 years trying to find something. You guys have access to that thing right now. And I know I'm only talking to a few of you, but I know it's in your head. I know it's in your head because I was in your seat. Whatever's in the back of your head that you're thinking of that, oh man, he's bringing it up again. He's talking about that one thing that I can't get away from. When it says you've been set free, you don't have to do those things because you were a slave. What do slaves do? Let's think, if you're a slave in a household and the master says go do that, do you have a choice? No, you have to do that. So that means before, this might be mind-blowing, but before you accepted Christ in your heart, when temptation or the devil came into your heart and said, go do that, go lie, go gossip, you were chained to it. You had to do it because your body forced you to do it. Maybe you could do good things, but anytime the chance arose to do something bad, you had to do it. But because now you're found in Christ, you don't have to. People will say you don't get to, but you don't have to. And that's what's going to change your life. That's what changed these people's lives. So when you're thinking right now, no turning back, insert what you need to insert. Put that thing, whatever's in your back of your head, if it's reoccurring, if it's a first-time thing, I know God's putting that on your heart. Because that's what He does. Because He knows you.